So a welcome back to the much-travelled Simon Grayson. Simon.
Who of Leeds' standout players? Who do they need to hold on to?
Tanaka, he looks such a top player. I think he can play in the Premier League even now. As long as Leeds stay in the Premier League now, not a yo-yo club.
Everybody's linked with Jamie Vardy at the minute, it seems. Do you think he'd be a good fit for Leeds?
The issue that they've got at Leicester is that there's so much disharmony between the supporters and the owners now.
Which manager needs to win the Europa League more?
Oh,
And for hammering.
oh my gosh.
Welcome to another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football. Hey Sam, you okay?
Yes, I'm back from Spain, so I apologise to everybody if they didn't get a podcast last week, but I had to go over and finish one of the villas I was building, so I've been away, and it was a very tense few days picking all that stuff with my wife. So glad to be back and relaxed here now.
That's
so,
all right. You were in your wife's control last week.
I was in my wife's control, yes. I've been in my wife's control for 50 years, so she's always been the boss. Yeah.
Well, we're happy you're back and we're happy you're here till the end of the season. And we have a guest joining us today, another returning guest, which is always a good sign.
Yes, obviously known him for many, many, many years. But the interesting thing for me on this podcast is a bit about not English football. It's about where he's been recently in his last two managerial jobs, which is going to be great. But it's a welcome back to the much-travelled Simon Grayson. Simon, thank you very much for coming.
Good to see you, Sam, Natalie.
Do you know what? It's perfect timing having you here. The way this works for us sometimes, obviously, with Leeds is being champions over the weekend, and we'll get into all of that. But like Sam just said, yeah. And actually, do you know, last time Simon was on, you weren't here. It was Tim.
That's right.
You were Leeds manager.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we were debating, was he going to drop Meslier?
And I did.
And I said you would, and you did.
Had to be done.
Yeah. And Daniel did as well recently. As well.
Well, I know when I saw him in training and all that, there wasn't a problem looking at him and thinking what a goalkeeper he should be. And I thought just having a sticky spell because he'd been in goal a long time. And obviously when I looked at the mistakes he'd made previously, I felt that it would be my fault if I played him again.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to take players out for their own benefit, don't you?
Make the big decision, which I felt was, and will always feel that it was the right decision. But to see him doing similar again, is just a bit concerning for me because it's something that you have that spell, and a goalkeeper is unforgiving. You know, an outfield player can have a bad spell, come out the side and come back in again. But the highlights of your mistakes,
the pressure as well, isn't it?
You know, the things, the pressure you get put under. But it's pretty sad to see that he's not, I suppose, learnt from that. Yeah.
Right, Simon. Sam mentioned it there. You've been on an adventure. Oh my goodness! Please tell us, where have you been?
Yeah, look, for the last 7 weeks I've been in Kathmandu in Nepal. Obviously, previous to that, I was in India for 18 months and was successful out there. And then I got a call, I don't know, January, February time, would I want to go and coach a team in Nepal? It was like a franchise league, spoke to the owners, and I was undecided what I wanted to do. And I just thought, why not? It's a life experience, 7 weeks away from home.
Were you getting under wife's nerves?
Do we get on the way? Not in our world, no. Maybe in their world. And I've only been back 3 days, and I think I'm getting under a nerve already.
You've been back 3 days?
Well, no, it's about a week now, should I say. Yeah, last Tuesday.
Just in time for Leeds' celebrations and then to come on here.
I managed to go there on Saturday night. But so I went to Nepal, and it was, I just wanted to do something different again, where I went to India in 18 months. This was a lot shorter term away from home. And it was some experience because I didn't know my own players because the club had bought them in like an auction, like the IPL cricket. So I didn't know any of them. I didn't know any staff. I didn't take any staff with me. I didn't know anything about the league, the opposition. And we had like 3 weeks of pre-season. I'm getting to know all these players, trying to work out the strengths, the weaknesses, the mentality strength, etc. And it was challenging, without a shadow of a doubt. But that's why I went. I was doing all the coaching myself. I had
that's an understatement. Challenging.
I had nobody to bounce ideas off because I had a Nepalese assistant, but really they're in awe of you because they think you know everything about football because you
do.
Number of times, but you still need somebody to bounce ideas.
Well, I know
off,
that,
especially when you're not winning a game or something like that. And it was just so challenging, but so fulfilling as well. Like, I think first day I arrived, we had 8-10 players and about 3 balls, and I'm like, wow, what have I done here? And then we got more players, we got more balls and stuff. And
you get any bibs?
I think we had enough for a 7-a-side. and then it got, as time went on, it obviously got better. And but then even the tournament started on a Saturday. And I had 5 players land on a Wednesday night. 3 were Nepalese internationals who'd come back from a FIFA break, and 2 French Africans who just landed to join the camp 2 days before. So I've 2 days working with these 5 players that were going to go straight into my team because they're the best players, and you're trying to put into practice what you've been doing for 3 weeks and 20 years of what you've been trying to do.
Well, it just shows you that that 20 years scenario about the experience you got. Like, so you get thrown into the lion's den, and then you click in, don't you? Your brain clicks in on all what you've experienced and how important that the experience you've gained over many years and all the clubs you've had over here and what you've done in it. Obviously, what you experienced in India has probably helped you. But so people talk about coaching. It's about handling players, and now he's handling a situation where he's thrown into the lion's den and then looks at the situation and ends up organising the team as quickly as he can and getting them to go win. It shows you great the ability, drawing on all your experience and all the strengths that you've got, even with no assistant, which is, something that is even more difficult to succeed in. And I think that, you got to take yourself a lot of credit, pat yourself on the back and say, well, what an experience that was to do that, And
it's like, I'll use a word, I had to be really adaptable. So I went with all my session plans of 20 years, thinking I'm going to do this, and you turn up at the training pitches that weren't great, and you think you're going to do a crossing and finishing exercise where you're playing a ball through and somebody's going to cross it first time. On the surfaces we were on, I'm not sure the best Premier League players could be crossing. So you're adapting your sessions, and even to the point of, and it's not having to go at the league or the structure or anything, because it's just where they are in terms of the development of their country with football. But there was 7 teams trying to get training pitches. You're all trying to get maybe the 4G pitch that the FA used was like gold dust, to the point of they were having matches on it, obviously in local leagues. We trained once at 6 o'clock in the morning because it was the only slot that we could get. So we're up at 5:15, get the bus to the training ground, and we trained 6 till 7:30. And honestly, it's the most beautiful morning to do it because you got the sunrise. But getting the lads up at 5:15 on a morning, it was tough. But there was plenty of other experiences as well. I remember saying to Sam before that played in a game and the game was really tight, and there was an incident where the goalkeeper made a save and there's no VAR. And all of a sudden, they're complaining that it's gone over, but nobody could ever decide whether it had or not. 5 minutes later, I look across and a director from the opposition came down moaning to the match commissioner, who sat on a chair table between the 2 dugouts, complaining. And then literally 2 minutes later, they're rolling round the track, fighting with each other. And I'm like, wow, no! I've seen some things in football, but I've never seen a director come down, complain, and he more or less attacked the match commissioner, and then police are coming in with the batons trying to separate. And I'm like, wow, welcome to a different part of the world and different culture. But again, life experience and something that I'll have with me for the rest of the year and the rest of my days. And ultimately, we won the league undefeated, and then we won the semi-final and won the final 2-1. And so it was good. It was all worthwhile in the end.
What's the fan culture out there like? 'Cause obviously football's a universal language, but how much, what were they into it? What was it like?
Yeah, no, it's very popular. Obviously, lots of Premier League shirts around. The team I was managing was more or less the local team, so we had a decent following. So the final, there was 14,000 there. The matches maybe had anything from 6,000 to 7,000.
What's the population in Nepal? Is it small?
I don't know if it's. I can't remember off the top of my head. but it's all very populated and but the league it was only its third season, so it's early development.
Right.
But they had Roberto Carlos came out for 2 days, and he was supposed to come the day after Arsenal had played Madrid, and he'd cancelled because he said he was ill. I'm thinking he's still disheartened about Real Madrid losing to Arsenal. And to fair play to him, he turned up 2 days later, and I had 10 minutes conversation at a gala dinner with him, and fantastic bloke.
Did he sort your free kicks out?
Well, I'm sure he got paid a decent amount for going out to Nepal.
Sure he did,
but again, they're trying to lift the profile, and that's why I went, because they've never, without being smoke up myself, that they've never had somebody in my expertise or the years of experience to go out there. So I went for the reason to develop my own club that I was working for, develop the players, but also educate the owners and things like that. And another big thing about why I went was to develop the players. And fortunately, 3 of the players that I had have just got into the national team for the first time in their careers. So I was really chuffed to bits, more than maybe winning the tournament, because in a short space of time, developed the players. I turned a centre-back into a left-back who's now going to play in the national team at left-back. So I'm not taking all the credit, because the lads were very... They were very... yeah. You get enough criticism at times. I was really delighted when things like that have happened in a short space of time.
Just shows you. And I presume the experience will keep you open for the next job then now.
Well, yeah.
Which really should come along from somewhere. Now you become an international traveller. You don't know where that might be.
Well, it was
whether it's in this country or whether it's not. But I think that anybody that ever doubted what you've been able to achieve and what you've been able to do is you've just put that to rest when you've managed to cope with that sort of situation and turned a group of players that didn't know each other, you didn't know them, and in a short period of time you end up winning the league. It's a lot of credit. And on our podcast, 28 people have got another job when they've been on the podcast, which happened to you last time we were on. We might well be. We might well bring a bit of luck to you, but I don't think it's luck. I think if anybody's out there looking for a new manager, particularly in this country, they should look at your CV and look what you've achieved.
I think the one thing that I sort of learned about myself was that I've still got the hunger, desire, and passion, because again, we finished the game and I'm going down the tunnel. All of a sudden, I've heard like these English accents and like Simon. So I turned round and they had Lalitpur shirts on, which was my team, but underneath they had Reading shirts on. So I went over to speak to them and they said, we're in Kathmandu doing some travelling, but we're big Reading fans and things like that. And they went, my God, you've still got your passion and desire on the touchline. And I went, well, that's what I'm here to prove to myself, that I have still got the hunger and desire. And it was nice to see some English folks there.
So what next then? Would you would the dream be to get another job in the English league?
Yeah, I'd like to do. I'd like to be at home, and that's not been the easiest thing over the last 2 years being away. Off the back of what I've done in Asia, I've had other jobs offered in Singapore, Malaysia and places like that. But I want to be at home, and I've still got a lot to prove and a lot to sort of offer still to a club over in England.
Love that. I love that. So I've got stuck in my head now, which kind of moves nicely on to celebrations. And I want to talk about Leeds United, obviously, but you mentioned you were there Saturday night.
Yeah.
So did you go to celebrate?
Yeah, so I'd done the game for LUTV in the afternoon, and then I was going out into town anyway to a few drinks anyway with my wife and that, and then just got a call saying the team are back at the hotel. Do you want to come? I met one of the owners actually in the Dakota Hotel, and he said, we're having a celebration party. I think it'd been on for about 3 days before, and just went along to the night do, and where all the players were and all the owners were, and it's good. It's being a Leeds supporter. It was a special moment, and then they obviously had the parade on the Monday, but I didn't go to that because not that I was probably going to do, but I was watching my lad play for Gateshead. So, but there was 150,000 people there, and it was just carnage by all accounts.
Any stories you can share with us from the celebrations?
No, what happened in celebrations?
Of course.
I'm sure there'll have been plenty of stuff going off after I'd left the hotel at that time. But...
They got a new stadium planned, haven't they? We saw that release this week, So I think it's been, in my short period there, fantastic ground in the best position. And I thought the new stadium, it would be a tragedy if they moved it. I don't think they are the redevelopment.
No, well, I spoke to one of the owners.
Where they are, aren't they?
Yeah, I spoke to Peter Lowry,
which
one
is
of the
right way for Leeds United fans.
I spoke to Peter Lowry a few months ago, and he's part of the development, and he says we cannot lose what is iconic with Leeds is the intimidation value. So they're trying to keep, a lot of the stadiums now go away from the playing surface, but they want to keep and build above it all, that's what they're trying to do, keep the south stand and the cop and everything on top, and have a real hostile environment instead of 35,000, 55,000. There's 20-odd thousand on a waiting list already for tickets, and it's exciting times at the 49ers.
They're going to develop it and still play there.
Yeah, they're trying to develop over the top of it
and come out like Man City.
Yeah,
they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, they're doing it now. Yeah.
So it's exciting times.
In terms of what they need to do, then, first of all, for you, who have Leeds' standout players? Who do they need to hold on to?
Look, Dan James has done really well. His numbers this year in the Championship, but for me, Tanaka, the Japanese midfield player, he looks such a top player. I think he can play in the Premier League even now. I think he handles the ball, he gets around the pitch, he reads the game so well, he looks so composed. I think, and he only costs £4 million, I think, something like that, which in today's market,
you can't keep going out for those, though, Simon, can you? You can't keep going out for the £4 million.
No.
If that's the level that you want to achieve, somewhere along the line, Leeds are going to have to spend. And these are where all the clubs previously have got relegated because they've spread the budget for maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 players, and they're not good enough.
Yeah.
You probably want the quality rather than the quantity, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ipswich really. I feel really sorry, that Ipswich, because they had the goal scorer.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had the number one.
Yeah.
They had him.
Yeah.
And everything around that got put into place. The one thing they didn't have, I felt, is they made a mistake with the goalkeeper, who started passing out to the opposition and them scoring. You know what I mean?
Is that not just modern day football?
But you can't. I mean, they changed him in the end, but those two positions always have to be the first and foremost focus, don't they? To anybody, it's particularly if you're gonna stay in the league. And defensively, we've got to give Scott Parker some credit. I'm moving off the trend because his defensive record, it makes me smile.
Right.
Keeping clean sheets not classed as boring, though.
Well, everybody else calls it boring. I call it, if you want to win out, get your best clean sheet record.
It was. I watched him a lot. It was boring, but I don't think the fans care in the slightest.
Well, why would they care? They got 100 points.
Yes.
I think that'll stand them in good stead because that back four have been very drilled and organised. That you need that in the Premier League. They're not going to have much of the ball next year. Leeds are not going to have much of the ball. So the mentality and the coaching philosophy that Scott's got into them and that will to keep clean sheets. I think that'll stand them in good stead for next year.
He's got
100 points not winning you the league, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it?
I'm not bothered. I was happy
goal difference.
Goal difference. 65 goals Leeds scored.
Did they?
No, 95.
Yeah, so 65.
So what happened to the players that went out on loan? Did they all get bought? Because I don't know how many. I know last season they loaned out a lot of players.
Yeah. Some came back to the Championship. So Aronson came back, who was a number 10. Wilbur came back, who was a fullback. So a few were there. I think 1 or 2 have been sold in the last window, like Robin Koch and Christensen and 1 or 2 others. So there is a turnaround, but the recruitment is going to be huge for them. And it's getting the right types, isn't it? That look at Ipswich, and they did a lot of recruitment of Championship players, English-based players, which is good, but I think also you've still got to get some top quality from abroad or whatever. I don't think Ipswich really managed to do that, did they?
Everybody's linked with Jamie Vardy at the minute, it seems. Like, I heard he was linked with Wrexham, then I read he was linked with Leeds.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be a good fit for Leeds?
Look, he's proved that he's still got the desire and the hunger, and the legs are probably going a little bit, but he's still got something about him. So maybe 1 season might work as a squad player. I don't see Jamie starting for Leeds that often, to be fair, because if you're reliant on how old Jamie now, 39, I think it is.
Yeah.
Fantastic career. It's not probably the message you're sending out that he's your number 9 for a whole season. I think wherever he ends up, whether it's in the Premier League, will be as a good squad player. If it's in the Championship, then he'll be certainly a starter all the time.
Yeah.
I think you got to look how many goals he's got this year.
Yeah.
Purely and simply on the fact of the matter, and will you play to his strengths?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to play tippy-tappy football, you ain't going to play to his strengths. Because this man runs in behind better than anybody else. So unless you can't, playing into his feet is not his strength. A bit like Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah.
When we had him at Sunderland, everybody's going like, into it. No, forget about play. You do what you're good at. I say the players, his strength is running behind, so why are you passing it to his feet in front of a big centre half that's going to hit him, you know what I mean? So and let him do the spin run, let him do it. You play the ball in that space. I mean, Leicester, when they won the league, he was just, they didn't, you know what they didn't? I was at Sunderland when it happened. They played at Sunderland. And they never even looked. They just played it. The player
not rocket science, is it? No, play to a player's strength.
They didn't even look. They just went, because they knew he'd be running there.
Love that.
You know as the next defender as well. You have somebody running behind, it kills you, so you drop, and then becomes more space for the other players to play as well. It's not rocket science, is it?
But he scored 12, 11, 10 goals on the trot. Got the record.
Yeah,
Did he get the record at Leicester? You look at how many goals when he just played down the side, just like chopped in behind, like you mean. So if you play to his strength, then you're going to get goals. If you don't play to his strength, then you're not going to get what you want. But I'd look at how many goals he scored this season and say, squad player maybe, absolutely.
Yeah. So Leeds in the Premier League, new big capacity stadium coming. Owners that have said they're going to invest money. Where do you see Leeds, head and heart, maybe separately, in the next 5 years?
Look, I know a lot of Leeds supporters will be wanting top 8 or something like that, but as long as Leeds stay in the Premier League now for a number of years to build and get back to where they were in many years ago, where it was a sustainable and a proper Premier League club, not a yo-yo club. It's not easy because we've seen 3 teams go down with a whimper this year. I just hope that Leeds have a good go in the market, but also play a good brand of football, but effective football. I would think finishing in the bottom 8 or something like that would be a success, and at least you can build for the following year. You don't need to be yo-yoing, as we've mentioned with all these other clubs recently.
Yeah.
Hardest problem that is recruitment. There's not enough. In my opinion, there's not enough worldwide. There's not enough players available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, especially up front.
Especially, out and out number 9.
I mean, front men, goal scorers. I mean, that's why Jamie Vardy might be a valuable commodity, because there's just not a great bunch of them worldwide anymore. I'm sure there are some, but finding them, and
then paying for the top ones as well.
Paying for the top ones.
Everybody's after the same players.
Perhaps this is why. That's why, I think Delap at Ipswich is going to be.
Yeah, he's going to be hot. Properly.
One of the first ones sold, isn't it? Because he's proven they can score in the Premier League, and where who's got.
I hope it's not Man United. That's what I say.
So I'd also say probably the big man at Crystal Palace would be mine.
Mateta.
Mateta.
It's a great player,
what a he struggled. We tried to get him on loan at West Brom before Palace got him. And when he went to Palace, he spoke to Steve what a struggle they had with him in first year.
What for?
Couldn't get the pace of the Premier League.
Right.
Struggled to produce and all that, and then all of a sudden, and Steve got him because he got on a 2-year loan. And by the end of the second year, wow! And now look at him now.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want somebody that scores goals, can hold it up. He's probably the number one. I would think Steve won't like me for saying this if he's watching it, but he's probably the number one, or in my opinion, should be the number one target for anybody like Manchester United or something like that.
Are you his agent?
No, I might ring him up, see. But he's proven now.
Yeah.
And he's. I mean, people sometimes want different to that, like you mean, but he's got everything that. Strength, speed, ability with both feet, heading, and I think that shown and proven that he can be a real force in the Premier League.
Yeah, very much. Very much. Right, we're going to move on to some of your other former clubs because it's just obviously at the end of the regular season.
How many is there?
Fascinating
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Absolutely loads, Sam. Right, we're going to do first of all Preston.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They survived by the skin of their teeth. If you look at their results, Sam, this is fascinating. I've covered Preston 3 or 4 times this year. And the last time I covered them was in the middle of February and they were bang mid-table. You thought, they're not getting promotion. They're not getting sucked into the relegation. They haven't won a game since. Well, they won the FA Cup game against Burnley.
Yeah.
They haven't won a game since.
I know.
What's happened?
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
They lost Aston Villa,
he got them out of trouble.
Yeah.
And then they slipped back in, slipped back again, like you mean. So
Was it the quarter final they got to?
Yeah.
Quarter final when
Villa.
Villa beat them, didn't they? And since then, it looked like it's just been a horrendous run of form. And it's funny because I was looking at the league table a couple of weeks ago, and I've not looked at it much while I've been away. Not at the bottom end. I just keep seeing where Leeds were most of the time. And then I'm going, wow, Preston are sliding and sliding. And then you realise the last game of the season, it could still go down. And I'm so pleased that they haven't gone down because it would have set back that club a long way. Because did we get promoted? 2017 we got promoted. 15 we got promoted. So that's 10 years of being in the Championship. And they've been on the periphery sometimes of the playoffs under Alex and Ryan.
Yeah.
Never been able to get to the into the playoffs to get promoted, as into the Premier League. I think there were only a group of 4 teams in the Championship that haven't been ex-Premier League clubs, and Preston are one. And there just seemed a bit of a disharmony amongst supporters to the owners, wanting to, I don't know, they're trying to force them into spending loads more money, but Preston are never going to do that because they're a very well-run, probably one of the only clubs in the country that have not in any debt whatsoever. That's how the Hemmings family work. But supporters are wanting to see the golden ticket.
So the Hemmings family still run it?
Yeah. So Trevor, obviously, Mr. Hemmings died, and then it went into the trust of the rest of the family, and they're still running it and putting quite a considerable amount of money in every season. So sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for. Do you put yourself in the future issue of financial trouble going for the golden ticket? Because that isn't always guaranteed, is it?
Yeah, just fast, like you say, if you didn't keep an eye on that table, all of a sudden they were down there. It was fascinating. It'd be interesting to see what they do next year. Another one of your former clubs, we're just clocking them up here, Sam. Leicester. They're going to change the manager, right?
Yeah.
I know you never like talking about sacking managers leaving, but everyone's expecting that Ruud leaves.
Yeah, you would think so based on sort of the results that they've had. Was it the right appointment in the first place? Well, hindsight's a big thing, that it probably wasn't. The issue that they've got at Leicester is that there's so much disharmony between the supporters and the owners. Now, John Rutkin, the director of football, is getting a lot of criticism.
Isn't he?
The owners,
been there a long time.
Yeah, so he's been part of the ownership sort of structure for many, many years and had a lot of blame on his door. And then there's so much disharmony. I was down there, that'd be 3 months ago. I'm sat in a pub watching a game, and it's not even half time. And the lads had been to the game and had come out before half time because they were 3-0 down and went, we've had enough, we just come back to the pub. And it's like, then all the noise from the outside of, we want to do this, we want to do that. And it's not what Leicester are about. What, 2016, 9 years ago, Premier League winners, FA Cup winners. It's such a shame to see the club sort of on that downward slope, but hopefully it regathers a little bit of momentum for next year.
Yeah. It's a shame that the tragedy of the owner dying in the helicopter disaster, and now the lack of support financially they used to give doesn't seem to be there anymore. But I don't know whether that's because of the owner dying and his son took over. Yeah,
Top took over.
Or whether that was. I heard it was a lot to do with you might know better than me, a lot to do with the COVID, because a lot of his business was airport related.
Yeah, they own all the duty-free shops.
They own all the duty-free shops.
I never knew that.
Yeah. That's their big.
I love a duty-free shop.
Yeah, not in COVID, you don't.
No. So let's see. I don't know whether that was the case.
I think that has played a big part.
Some of the players that let go free. Because they had to, like
Tillemans went to Villa.
Look at
smashing it.
It's a great shame they've had to go through that process of financial reduction financially to basically to survive.
Yeah.
And not get penalised by that stupid EPPP rule that we got, that financial fair play rule. Still, I still hate that.
I was going to ask you, first of all, who do you think would be a good fit for Leicester? But then immediately my mind started going through our list of people that have been on the podcast. And suddenly I was like, ooh, there's quite a few names here that might be a good fit for Leicester. But who do you think would be?
I've got one top of my head straight away. Sean Dyche. Championship manager, knows what it's all about to get teams promoted. So he knows how to get out of the division, and he knows how to keep teams in the Premier League off the back of that as well. So
I love that.
I'm good mates with Dyche as well, but
can you get him on then? Because we might be able to help him. Yeah,
thank you. Get him a job, but I think he'd be.
Get him on next week,
and then the week after he'll get the job. And
say Sam says, "Come on the podcast. We'll get you a
job."
Not that you need much help to get another job, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I think that's a shout. Yeah, yeah.
Good fit, yeah.
Okay, but we do need to get him on the pod before he gets a new job. That'd be great. Okay, something else that's been going on in the world of football this week. Jamie Carragher's come out and said that he knows Villa offered Watkins to Arsenal in January and that it wasn't Arsenal pushing it. So,
How does he know?
I don't know, but he feels confident enough to have said it.
Is that so they could keep the lad this old?
John Duran.
Yeah, went to Saudi Arabia, didn't he?
Is that so they could keep Duran and keep Duran happy, and so they thought Duran's a better option for the future as well as now? Because obviously there seemed to be conflict about the fact he wouldn't play both of them together.
Yeah.
Do you think Watkins will leave this summer?
No, because they've got nobody else. I don't think they're going to sign Rashford, do you?
Do you think?
I don't think so.
Or do you not
but
think?
I don't think Marcus is centre forward.
He's better off on the sides, isn't he, at times?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's been...
I don't think Villa need to sell him as well, because they're in a position where the Champions League, Europe football, it's a big football club, is Aston Villa. I played there for 2 years and it's huge.
Oh, I didn't realise that was another one of your former clubs. That makes sense now. Yes.
but I think if Arsenal are still interested and Ollie Watkins will do his very best to leave now.
To go to Arsenal, do you think?
If they're still interested, yeah.
He'll take some serious money as well, though, won't it?
Well, it will, but after him being left out on the Champions League and him showing his disagreement for being left out and that, like, slightly disappointment, rightly so. But I mean, the manager looks like he doesn't take kindly to that sort of stuff, and he's a strong man.
Like,
you know what I mean? And has done exceptionally well at Villa. So it's a big problem for them. But if they're offered to him, he'll have found that out as well.
Yeah.
He will know. Jamie Carragher knows if it is true. We can't. It's speculation as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
But you know, if he finds out that that's the case, he's not going to want. He's going to hope that Arsenal still want him. But what do
you think if they signed him in January, they'd have pushed Liverpool closer to winning the title?
They couldn't have tried less, could they? So
if they'd got him,
I think that it would have got closer.
Yeah.
But I think the way Liverpool went about it,
you
know, the way Arne Slot went about it with no fuss. There was a few Liverpool fans talking about it wasn't quite as up and at him and as good as what Klopp did.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, saying it's not as exciting.
Oh, boo-hoo with your Premier League trophy!
Absolutely,
in his first season.
It's a master of coming into a football club with such pressure on you to get.
There was a pressure to follow Jurgen in the first place.
Yeah, look, always going to be.
This is how good he is. Yeah, apart from Trent, they've all stayed. That's how good he is. They wouldn't still be there now if there was a doubt about him as a coach and his ability as a person.
I want to ask you about Trent, but before I'm going to park that just for 1 second because I'll forget about the other thing I wanted to ask if I move on to Trent. In terms of Ollie Watkins to Arsenal, obviously if Arsenal get knocked out by PSG this week, if Arsenal finish second or possibly third in the Premier League, obviously they got defeat to Bournemouth, they're not improving season on season. So do they need to appease the fans, splash out whatever it costs and bring in either Ollie Watkins or find a number 9 somewhere else?
100% they need a number 9. I think it's, and Mikel's obviously they've been trying to do something. He's trying to be working his shape around the team sort of structured differently to compensate for not having that out and out number 9. So whether it's Ollie Watkins, I think the actual pure pressure of the noise from the outside, but I think internally as well, they know they need a number 9 that's cost them sort of the opportunity to last year in the title race as well as this year.
They share the goals out pretty well, though.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the goal tally, and you look at what they've done. I mean, when Man City have slipped up and you haven't taken it, I mean, he didn't take advantage of it last time when he should have won it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, he should already have a Premier League title under his belt.
Mikel.
And they blew it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can put many factors down to why they blew it, but they did.
Yeah.
And everybody has to take responsibility, himself included. But they must have thought then it's going to come again, and this year was perfect for them.
Yeah.
Because Man City slipped up, they won 4 on the trot, and you go, phew. You know what I mean? And they haven't taken advantage of that. I'd say, like everybody else, the first thing you got to sort out is your injury problem. So many managers come on about we've got too many injuries, and the one manager that hasn't done that is who?
Arnie Slot?
No.
No.
Well, they're not bad, pretty good.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest.
Oh yeah, he's never complained.
Because they've got the best injury record in the league, apparently.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Love that. Let's jump back quickly before I forget that as well to ask you about Trent from before.
Yeah.
Keeping it here.
Yeah.
So he's leaving. He's going to Madrid. They've finally come out and said he's leaving.
Outstanding move.
What's your take on it?
Look, I think it's been a secret. Well, it's not been a secret. I think an open secret for the last few months, and that was going to be happening. Look, he's a fantastic player. Sometimes players need a new challenge. Obviously, leaving on a real high, winning the Premier League, and you're not going to go to a much bigger club than if you're going to leave Liverpool to Real Madrid. So, I think it's a great opportunity for him. Good servant that sometimes you move on for a different experience, different life experience, and a new challenge.
Do you think this is one that I could throw out there? Do you think he's gone as well, and Jurgen's coming?
Oh,
to Real Madrid?
Yeah, because Carlo's going, eh?
Yeah, he's going. Well, they say he's going to Brazil, don't they?
But it's a shame Trent wouldn't have Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Because Carlo Ancelotti's, you've got Pep and you've got Carlo, haven't you? Have you got anybody else that good?
Currently managing?
Over the last 10 years or so.
Not to that level.
Nope.
No.
So they're the two. Because Rosé's dropped down a little bit recently, and he was right up there.
But Jurgen's got that job, hasn't he? Like that.
Well, leave
that Red Bull job.
I think he'd leave any job to go to Red Bull to
Real
go
Madrid.
to a Real Madrid.
If he's got the bug again.
If there's not,
he might not have the bug again.
A small number of managers that could go there.
Yeah.
But
interesting, wasn't it? Alonso,
huge
Alonso's the name that's
linked with it as well, and ex-Liverpool connection. Maybe that's got something to do with it as well. But great experience for it.
It's a shame Trent won't have Carlo.
Yeah.
I think because I think he's he is the ultimate man manager.
Yeah. But do you wish him well? Do you think he's done the right thing?
I think so. I mean, my God, what a career he's had. I mean, that pressure. I've had Ivan Campo and Fernando Hierro tell me about what happens at Real Madrid as a player, never mind as a manager.
Like what?
When
white flags come out.
I mean, it's relentless in terms of that. There is no hiding place once they decide. So, to go there and able to deal with it. But Trent's great move for him. Served Liverpool exceptionally well and deserves the opportunity to go and expand this. Because many Liverpool fans saying you're deserting them, even Jamie Carragher's gone on about it. But he'd have gone.
Yeah, just never got the opportunity.
Jamie Carragher wouldn't have stayed at Liverpool if Real Madrid wouldn't want him. He'd have been off like a bloody shot.
Look who's left Liverpool to go there in the past.
I know.
Steve McManaman, Michael Owen have left all to go there. Yeah, it's not a sideways move, is it, or a downward move?
I think it's just a shame that Liverpool haven't got any money, given they raised him and they grew him. Right, got a couple of quick fire questions for the end of the podcast. So, which of Sheffield United, Sunderland, Bristol City and Coventry will win the playoffs?
I'd like Sheffield United to win it, to be fair. Chris is a great bloke. Been up there all season. Doesn't the
blew it, didn't he?
Yeah, the playoffs don't sort of hold anything for you. You know what I mean? You've got to go with the momentum. I feel Sunderland have lost 5 or 6 on the trot.
Coventry have got momentum, haven't they?
Yeah, with Frank's done an unbelievable job. So Sheffield United for me, both as in because they've been up there all the time. Chris knows how to win playoffs. The only thing with Sheffield United is they're not very good in the playoffs. But records are there to be broken. I remember being at Preston and everyone's going, "Oh, we've lost 10 playoffs situation." I went, "Well, somewhere, down the line, they're going to
all the time."
No, but I got them promoted in the playoffs. So I said,
"Oh, did you?"
So I said, somewhere that record is going to be broken. This group of players aren't the group that have lost 10 times before that. They're going to, so it can be broken, and I do hope that Chris can get them promoted, and it'd be another Yorkshire team in the Premier League as well.
Sunderland for me, because of my connection with them and the fact that I played for them, and I managed to get them out of trouble when I was there, like you mean. So I got a great affection for Sunderland and like to see them get there if they can, like, you know. So
well, I'm going to represent
I should
Bristol
say that about
City,
Coventry, because I played for Coventry as well. But
he's done a phenomenal job there. And I really like Coventry as a club. But Bristol City, what a story!
Yes.
What a story if they got into the Premier League.
Well, again, that's another club that have not ever been in the Premier League, so it'd be so nice to see Bristol City there as well.
I would love that. I'd love a trip to Bristol City next year.
Yeah, nice stadium.
Yeah,
nice city.
We'll see. Right, next question: which of the 3 relegated clubs will do the best in the Championship next season?
Well, we don't want to.
I think Ipswich. I think Kieran McKenna knows what it's all about. I think he's got a lot of Championship players already on that.
If he keeps them.
That team, he keeps hold of them. Delap's obviously going to leave. Again, it's going to be recruitment for all the 3 teams. Who eventually gets sold because of the finances will dictate it. Who's going to want to hang around, because it's not also just. It's sometimes the players who think they're too good for the Championship will now think the Premier League players, and if they're not sold, they're moping around. I had that at Sunderland when I took over, when they got relegated. There was so many players that thought they were better players than they were, and we're Championship players now, and they look like League 2 players, some of them, to be fair. But it's who galvanises the group together, because it's not easy to pick up the pieces off from a relegation. Yeah.
Luton is unbelievable, isn't it?
Heartbreaking, yeah.
Luton, but I think that all the teams that they're winning and doing well in the Premier League after that, like you mean, it's going to be a difficult task for all of it. Anybody that gets promoted now has got to look at the situation and say, what are we going to have to do to provide the manager with the right tools to stay in the league? Or what they're going to do if we get relegated. So I'm sure all the Ipswich contracts have a
relegation
50% reduction clause. It would be ludicrous if they haven't done that. Then that means that the player and the wife's going to go, well, I don't want a 50% reduction. You need to leave, because you can't forget the power of the wife. Believe you me.
Oh yeah.
So.
But I think going back to that, no, I know. Don't worry about that. I'm on your side here. But I think also it depends if Ruud van Nistelrooy leaves, who Leicester appoint as a coach as well. I think I'd like personally Leicester to come back up, obviously, but I think Ipswich might be more set up than the other clubs.
I still think Southampton will do pretty good as well.
Yeah,
they've all 3 of them going to have the money, aren't they? All 3 are certainly going to be close to going straight back up because of the resources they're going to have, which becomes a bit boring, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
another discussion. Yeah.
I mean, the smaller clubs the smallest of those clubs is Ipswich, isn't it? You know what I mean? And been out there longest, like but Southampton have popped up and down. But at the start, it all depends how good the manager is.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the hangover at West Ham when I got there, and we talk about experience again. I think we shifted 24 players and brought in, I think, maybe 12 or 14 before we started the season.
It's so hard, isn't it? Again, from
You know
my
what I mean?
experience at Sunderland.
There were that many being sacked, you had to stop. Behind the scenes as well. They called Karen Brady the Grim Reaper at the time because she was the one that was doing all the sackings, not just moving players on, but also staff. And then you're walking into a depressed football club.
It is that hangover effect, isn't it?
Hangover, depressed.
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of, like, I mean, the players that wanted to leave that you would have liked to have kept, like Scott Parker and be like that, who just didn't want to and just wanted to go back to Premier League. You've got to find the best money for them. So the job of coaching is not really the problem. The problem of rebuilding the football club lies with your man management skills again.
Right, last question. Finally, which manager needs to win the Europa League more? And or Amorim?
Oh my gosh. Are they going to, I mean...
It's going to be one of them, innit?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Ange's already gone, regardless of his...
Stop, do you? Even if he wins it?
Just because there's the disharmony between the supporters and him. Look, I don't... Nobody knows, did I? Winning a cup. I think he probably needs it more because I think Amorim's going to be there regardless if they win or lose the trophy. I think if Ange wins it, it might give him a bit more time to build for next year. But they both need a win, don't they?
Right.
Being a Leeds fan, I want Tottenham to win it.
Me too. United in the Champions League. Sam?
I think Amorim needs to win it. Because it's a success then. It's not a great success, but it's a trophy.
Yeah.
As in Man United's eyes, as small as that might be, and
well,
under their history and tradition, it is a token.
Yeah.
It's a token gesture, isn't it? Like, I mean, but you know, if at least it's...
Was it a little bit like Ten Hag winning the FA Cup? The season wasn't great, but they won the FA Cup, didn't they? Which gave him a bit of an extension, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
I mean, their problems lie deep into the...
I know, that's why we don't want them there. We don't want them getting more money.
Culture is trying to bring, and whether that culture suits Manchester United. And I think that he's got another big recruitment season if they've got any money to.
And that's why we don't want them winning it as well. We don't want them having any money, do we, Simon?
No,
we don't.
You're biased because you're a Man City fan, you.
Me?
Yeah,
biased?
You are. I think that they, again, is all about the hangover at Man United everywhere, the job cuts, the press they've got. There's
a lot of negativity around, isn't there?
You know, people losing their job who've been there years and years. You know, all that one about they just get the food took off them and the cutbacks and then all of a sudden, you know, Dan Ash was going and Ten Hag going after just arriving, recruited the players.
As long as you can still get your free tickets off Sir Alex.
Oh yes,
all right.
I hope
a nice glass of
invite
wine.
me now and again a glass of wine. It's great, but I mean, it's just, you know, as a bit of a Man United fan, I want to see him up there. You know what I mean? Good for the Premier League, but how long is it going to take to get there again?
We're saying nothing, are we, Simon? We're saying nothing.
I'm smiling with her.
Well, I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
No,
thank you for coming on again.
Thanks very much.
Good man. Thank you very much, Sam.
See you.
We look forward to seeing what.
Good luck with the
you do
new
next.
job. Hopefully,
Yes.
we'll be talking about it before we close the season.
That'd be lovely.
Somebody
Best
comes
of luck.
along and says,
Best of luck.
"Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. We'll see you next week.
pleasure. See you next week."
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, as always, for
you,
joining
everybody.
us for No Tippy Tappy Football.